What's up, gamers? This is YuBan with a Mechabellum Replay Commentary. Today we are going to highlight a game where we decided to play Carry Void Eye right from the beginning of the game. Looking at the starting specs, we immediately looked at the quick supply spec. I love this specialist, starting with Tarantula. And we've been meaning to play Carry Void Eye for a while. And I thought this might be the perfect opportunity for us to force this composition against our opponent. With our extra supply, we decided to grab 2 extra tarantulas and went for this symmetrical aggro push. We're going for 3 spaces from the beginning line and then 4 squares between our spacer chaff unit between our tarantulas. This allows us the flexibility to have a giant unit in between our units later on. Once we use the spacers, we just moved our Void Eyes back right behind the tarantulas. We did this because of the attack range difference between our Void Eye and tarantula, allowing them to stay perfectly behind these tanky units while they do the chaff clear. Our opponent is a 1900 to 2000 MMR player playing as giant spec, starting also with tarantula, and his DPS was the form of 2 marksmen that he recruited. Looks like our opponent is deciding which kind of recommended formation that he's going for. In this case, we went for this very bold starting formation with no chaff units. Because we were pretty confident, we thought we have an extra 200 supply, we have 4 tarantulas. There is no way in the heck that we're going to lose this round. And sure enough, our tarantulas locked on to our opponent's tarantula, allowing this, essentially disabling our chaff clear ability. And this is leading to a pretty ugly first round, if you ask me. Our opponent is going to get a nice tower debuff, allowing the marksman to lock on and get so many shots on this tarantula. And looks like even with the extra supply that we had, we got overconfident with our formation and ended up losing the round. Round 2 reinforcement. Both of us already have some kind of damage unit. So maybe we're not looking at the Phoenix or Phantom Ray as much. In this case, on round 2, we were hoping to get 2 to 3 packs of chaff. So the extra 2 packs of Fang just worked out perfectly in our favor. In this case, we decided to put them vertically, lining up right in front of the marksman so they can lock on to these slow-moving Fangs, and hoping the tarantulas will maybe shoot at some of the Fangs and then retarget at our own tarantula, or even the crawlers that we're going to eventually put behind our units. Looking at the unit drop, we realized that there were 2 flying units up for grabs. The Phantom Wraith and the Phoenix. From there, we decided, hey, if we can grab a pack of Wasp, that will guarantee us a victory against those 2 air units. And they also do a really good job, 1, protecting our flank, and 2, tying up the marksmen later on as they move forward. Our opponent decided to grab the Phoenix pack. Oh, I think he may have grabbed the 2 Fangs. Either way, he went for 2 Fangs in the back for deep flank protection, went for 1 pack of Phoenix for some air unit and anti-air, additional anti-air on top of the marksman. Good thing we decided to grab our pack of Wasp. Otherwise, we would have had pretty much no no upshoot besides our 2 packs of level 1 hounds, level 1 Fangs, which just die really quickly. And you can see here, left side was able to push through. That was the power of our symmetrical setup that our opponent had to decide which side to sacrifice and which side to reinforce, as we're equally strong on both sides. And with our late arriving Wasp showing up, we're able to clean up the Phoenix and also the Marksman in the process. Striking back on round 2, grabbing some much needed experience, levels, and tempo. Round 3 reinforcement, both of us immediately grabbed the underground threat. As for us, well, for both of us, we are in a headbutt position. That means both of our towers are very vulnerable from behind, from back here. Therefore, opens up the channel for something like this, a underground threat right in the back corner, approaching both sides of the towers. We decided to go for a defensive underground threat because our opponent already had 2 packs of units behind the tower that were slow moving. Even though the Fangs on their own may not stop the underground threat spell, they are going to significantly delay the spell. In the case, if we were to trade aggressive underground threat, we would have lost for sure because we only had 1 pack of Crawler that's being pulled to the side. Opponent decided to go for the Vulcan, utilizing his Giant Spec advantage, unlocking it for free and getting a very tanky boy here, locking up our Tarantula. Good thing our Tarantula was able to chaff clear well enough, allowing our level 2 Void Eyes to actually clear up our opponent's Tarantulas a little bit. And let's see if our remaining units can successfully take down this level 1 Vulcan. Seems like we came really close and we just couldn't take it down. That was unfortunate. We needed that experience big time. Level 4, round 4 reinforcement, grabbing the shield airdrop. Recognizing the Vulcan is really good against these chaff units. However, if it gets stuck shooting at the shield, it could actually take quite a while before it can take down a 50,000 HP shield. So we put it here, not trying to protect our Fangs right away because I didn't want the Marksman to shoot at the shield too early. We decided we just wanted the shield for this level 1 Tarantula that's going to stay in the back. From here, we decided to grab our first tech on the Void Eye, the aerial mode. Recognizing opponent only had 4 units that could shoot air. And we have some Wasp in the back, and now if we create more air units that the Vulcans cannot shoot at, hopefully we can just allow the Void Eyes to stay back and survive due to the air advantage and grab some much needed level. From playing this build, the Void Eye carry a few times, I recognized the importance of early game level, and this tech should allow us to grab that much needed level. Let's see. Seems like Tarantulas are doing a great job staying back, only now locking onto the Tarantulas. However, that's not before our own high-level Void Eyes can lock on and take them down. With the air advantage and our opponent's Vulcan locking onto the Tarantula, this round all of a sudden with this 1 tech click seems to have shifted the momentum entirely towards our side. And look at this, instantly grabbing 4 levels on the Void Eyes. Round 5 reinforcement. Here I initially was really looking forward to playing the Rhino because we could easily put the Rhino in the front line with a armor tech, maybe even final blitz to lock up the Vulcan and take down our opponent's front line. However, with Steel Ball and a level 5 Sabertooth showing up on the same reinforcement, the Rhinos all of a sudden seems to be hard countered. In this case, I didn't want to play Sabertooth or Steel Ball because I really wanted to force the Void Eye as our main DPS unit, maybe even the only DPS unit. And from here, seems like the only remaining choice is the 2 level 2 Fire Badgers for us to grab. Our rationale here was not only because the other 3 options were not sufficient, it was also because we were not sure about how well a Tarantula was going to be able to chaff clear, because we noticed that it was getting locked onto our opponent's big units quite a bit. So perhaps let's get some more bodies. Each of these Fire Badgers have 3 units, making it hard for the marksman and potential Steel Ball or Sabertooth hard to take down. And we could use a little extra chaff clear to support our even more carry Void Eyes on the left side now. Now we have quite a few packs of high level Void Eye, level 2 and level 3, dealing pretty solid damage. This entire pack would deal 10,000 damage per shot. Essentially, it'll take this pack, if they lock onto the level 1 Vulcan, take them about 10 seconds to take it down, which is not too bad for a measly 200 cost unit. Well, 100 plus the 100 upgrade. Opponent went for more Vulcans, and the Steel Balls in the back, most likely afraid of a Rhino unit deployment. And here we were very happy that we did not go for the Rhino. However, opponent also reinforced his backline chaff string, adding way more packs of crawlers and even more late arriving fangs. And with these late arriving chaff units coming in far after our Tarantulas were taken down by the marksman, all of a sudden our advantage from last round seems to have disappeared. We're left with only a few Void Eyes, 2 Wasp, and a little bit of chaff clear unit. From here, we should be able to, we're definitely going to take the round with our air superiority. However, probably not by much. And with this tower debuff, let's see if our Void Eyes in the air can even take down this level 1 Vulcan. Very close, last second defeat, grabbing a little more experience along the way. Round 6, reinforcement. We were not thinking about deploying or playing Phoenix. Maybe the super heavy armor would be a good item if opponent didn't have the Steel Ball. And we knew here for sure our opponent's going to grab the electromagnetic blast, trying to take our Void Eyes down from the air into the ground where the Vulcans can just feast on them. We decided to skip because our opponent at the time only had the best partner tech, and this tech spawns the unit right in the beginning of the round, essentially making the EM blast completely useless. From here, we thought we could afford 1 shield to maybe shield our Tarantula, and we went for the HE tech. You will notice that we did not go for the range enhancement as our first tech. Usually that's our preferred choice. In this case, we went for the HE ammo for 2 reasons. 1, we are in a tight headbutt. If our attack range all of a sudden increased by 40 meters, we're at a much higher risk of locking onto our opponent's Tarantulas and even Vulcans while we're trying to chaff clear. 2, we did not have range enhancement on the Void Eyes yet. So if we grab a range enhancement on the Tarantula, these fast-moving Void Eyes are simply going to fly forward and become easy targets for the marksman and the Phoenix. Opponent now has 4 Vulcan, each with best partner, spawning essentially 1 marksman each, helping him out to deal with the Void Eyes. You can see the power of the EM Blast. We originally wanted to tech the Charge Shot this round. However, looking at the... After seeing the EM Blast, we decided maybe it's better to wait and not lose too much economy and tempo to this one spell if we were to double tech our units. Finally, Void Eyes get back in the air, avoiding getting slaughtered by this Vulcan. However, these marksmen in the back seems to be just having a great time sniping down our aerial units here, one by one. With 3 giant units left on the board, all of a sudden, opponent takes us down to 1500 HP. Opponent can probably grab the efficient giant manufacturing if he just wants to keep on massing Vulcan. However, in this case, he decided to go for the Assault Fang. And giving these Fangs the portable shield tech, making them extremely difficult even for our Tarantulas to deal with, as by the time these slow-moving Fangs make their way to the front line, most of our Tarantulas are going to be gunned down by the high-level marksmen already. This is going to be troublesome for us. Here we decided to grab our Power Spike tech that we originally wanted to grab last turn, the Charge Shot Void Eye. In addition, we decided to go for the Energy Shield on our Wasp, recognizing our opponent did not go into any Mustang or Wasp of his own, and they're relying on these slow shooting marksmen to clear our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 packs of Void Eyes. Thinking that if we can lock up the marksman's shots, even just by a few shots, it'll buy us time for the Void Eyes to maybe even clear some straggler chaff units, and most importantly, target onto the big giant units. Let's see how this round goes with our new addition, Charge Shot. They should take care of these medium-sized units, the Tarantulas, with no problem. Look at that. Units just melting. And with this nice favorable lock-on, seems like we're going to two-shot this level 2 Vulcan and just swarm our way into our opponent's board. This was also thanks to the underground threat in aggressive manner. Even though it was not going to get through, we just wanted to tie up our opponent's backline chaff units. And this resulted in a very convincing win, taking our opponent down to below 1000 HP and also grabbing tons of levels in the process. This also highlighted another issue with the carry Void Eye build. Even if you were to win rounds after rounds, the remaining units just don't deal enough damage, HP damage to your opponent. And this allows your opponent to have a lot of time to make different kinds of pivots and counters. Anyways, reinforcement, opponent grabbed the additional deployment slot while we decided to go for the amplifying core. Recognizing we do have some carry units that are doing quite well, like this Tarantula here, we wanted to stay alive, and we wanted to deal more damage for the reason that even if he was to lock onto this level 1 Tarantula, he will not stay locked on for too long, as with the damage buff, we should be able to take it down. Opponent, along with the Assault Fang card, decided to grab the range enhancement, making these backline fangs very deadly towards our Wasp. And that is actually a really good move. Instead of grabbing the Mustangs like I would have thought he would have done, because he already has so many fangs, and then he grabbed the additional deployment card to grab even more fangs in the back, just for these late arriving chaff. Now they're going to stay behind the giant units, essentially making it very easy to take down our late arriving Wasp. Seems like all these fangs rushing in has allowed our opponent to protect this level 2 Vulcan. And instead, all of our tarantulas, even with range tech now, are just melting away to these high level marksmen in the back. And you can see here, even with the Vulcans rushing in, most of our Void Eyes just end up shooting at these backline fangs with shields, taking forever to clear. And this is going to allow our opponent to strike back and take us down to 600 HP. Now we're getting very nervous. With round 9 unit reinforcement, neither of us should be looking at the Sabertooth. I could have potentially gone for the sledgehammers and put armor enhancement on them to lock up the Vulcans. However, in this case, I thought the Stormcaller might be a fantastic choice to help us clear these annoying fangs, and in the process, maybe even take down some of the tarantulas and the Vulcans in the process. Putting them vertically, lined up to each of these fang packs. While our opponent went for the Raiden, this is theoretically a hard counter to the Void Eyes if you can get enough of them and you have a chaff clear advantage, as these guys can clear an entire pack of Void Eyes in one shot. Recognizing opponent is going into these late arriving fangs, and these fangs are coming into battle like right after our tarantulas are dying to the frontline DPS units. We decided to go for our second form of chaff clear unit by grabbing range enhancement and the napalm tech on the fire badgers. This time, not grabbing the round tech. We're going to light the ground on fire for these late arriving high level fangs to just die in. Opponent had a similar idea by grabbing his own oil, trying to deliver a gut punch or a killing blow to our composition. However, I don't think the fire is going to affect us too much, as we only have maybe 4 packs of crawlers on the ground, and most of our units are flying in the air and just being terrifying and shooting, sniping away at the Raidens, sniping away at these Vulcans. And you can see the power of the napalm. Even though it doesn't last very long on the ground anymore, it did more than enough to our opponent's heavy fang board, allowing us to clear up most of the Vulcans. However, with the reduction in napalm duration, seems like we're going to come into a very close round once again, potentially even losing the round with this many fangs on the ground. Luckily, we already took down all of the Vulcans on the board, allowing us to survive this round with 360 HP. Instant pick on round 10 with the Ion Blast. The Ion Blast, in this case, is really hard on us because we cannot shield these Void Eyes. It's not like we can unclick the aerial mode tech to bring them back into the ground to be safely shielded in these bubbles. Our opponent also recognized that the Ion Blast can actually do quite a bit of damage to his Vulcans, and mostly we're trying to target his marksmen in the back. As you can see, typically we would put the Ion Blast slightly in front of these Vulcans. However, because we wanted to shoot at the marksmen that are spawning in through the best partner tech, we decided to put it right on top of these Vulcans here. From here, just putting down shields, trying to protect our fire badgers mainly. We want them to stay alive for long enough to light the entire board on fire, allowing our wasp, which we're starting to sell out, to act as chaff, and most importantly, allow our Void Eyes to just shoot away our opponent. Whenever a big spell like this that is guaranteed to wipe out a part of our board, whenever a spell like that shows up, I like to replace these units in the back line. In this case, we went for 3 packs of Elite Recruited level 2 Void Eyes. Put them in the back here for some late arriving unit to supplement what we are going to lose in the front. And also in this case, recognizing we don't have any upshoot or DPS in the back. And maybe these guys can help us protect the flank a little bit. Luckily, we did that. Our opponent tried to go for a killing blow by putting a level 1 Vulcan in the back. If this guy spawns in, it's going to spawn in a marksman and also some fangs in the process. Looks like our attempt at dropping the oil on top of our opponent's Fang army has failed. I was hoping for the Void Eyes to take down the shield very quickly. However, even without the oil, seems like the Ion Blast was a little more favorable in our case, allowing us to break through our opponent's front line, clear all the chaff units. Look at this, with still 1 Tarantula left alive. Is this going to be able to help us defeat our opponent? Looks like no. Taking our opponent down to 162. And this is the problem I was talking about. It is very difficult to close out games with this composition. With very likely the very last round coming up, we get a unit drop. In this case, we don't need any more hounds for chaff clear. Overlord being 1 unit doesn't seem to be the best into so many high-level marksmen. And the melting point could be redundant because we are already into these Terror of the Sky, the high-level carry Void Eyes. From here, we finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. These sledgehammers that showed up in the previous unit drop, they're calling our name. With us running armor enhancement and field maintenance, blocking over 200, blocking 240 damage per tick. These high-level sledgehammers are going to entirely block out and lock up these level 2 Vulcans to eternity, unless these marksmen can lock onto them. Our opponent decided to go for the Melter, sold it, and went for 4 fortresses in the back. Once again, he is giant spec, so the unlock was free, and he went for the anti-air barrage, trying to get some additional help against these Void Eyes. Now, with the electromagnetic blast coming off cooldown, his new tech of anti-air barrage are essentially going to be a little counterintuitive, maybe even, I would say, counterproductive, as it will give the EM blast will give these 2 fortresses on the right no targets to shoot for the first 25 seconds. Essentially a waste of a deployment and the tech. And honestly, I don't find anti-air barrage that powerful against high-level mass Void Eyes, as they're very small to be targeted, and with so many in the air and the potential of the energy shield tech, these guys with 8,000 HP can tank a lot of barrages. From here, I don't know why we decided to go for a defensive underground threat. Maybe fearing opponent would go for some kind of prowler tech to get an early tower debuff. Instead, opponent went for a backline distraction. You notice here, we decided to put down 1 sentry missile right here, anticipating some kind of chaff unit protecting this 1 Vulcan. And also, if the opponent did not put down any chaff, and this Vulcan just spawns in a marksman, this missile is also going to do a good job clearing it out. Let's see with the electromagnetic blast how that's going to impact our battle here. Hopefully these void eyes that are going to come into the ground can still do their job in dealing lots and lots of damage. Let's see here. Level 5, and look at this backline. Able to clear up the Vulcan deep flank, and with our streams of void eyes charging in, not even letting these anti-air barrage do any damage to us. Can we finally close out this game, or is our opponent's mass Vulcan approach going to take the game? Seems like left side pushes through, and with a nice tower debuff, we're able to protect this right side tower from getting a tower debuff. Oh, this is going to be very close. 4 marksmen left on the board. We have 5 void eyes in the air, and with our stormcallers doing a little bit of work, and still a little bit of level 4 sledgehammers left on the board, it seems like we're finally going to be able to take our opponent down in this round 11 slugfest of carry void eye play. In summary, we started the game in a Tarantula headbutt with our void eyes in the back line for DPS. Opponent transitioned into the frontline Vulcan with his giant specialist and decided to grab the best partner tech, trying to use the marksman as the main source of clear for against our void eyes. From here, we got our first wave of tempo with the aerial mode tech, protecting them against the Vulcans. And then we got a second wave of tempo with the charge shot tech, allowing these void eyes in the back to grab a lot of much needed levels. Opponents transition into these ranged and portable shield fangs in the mid game, allowed him to strike back and put us near death door. Luckily, we had a second form of chaff clear in the form of our Fire Badger with range enhancement and napalm. And finally, on round 11, with the unit drop of these level 4 sledgehammers, double tacking them with armor enhancement and field maintenance, it allowed us to push hard and win the left side by locking up this level 2 Vulcan at the end. With a swinging tower debuff and superior DPS, both in the back line and the front line, we were able to finally take the game against our opponent in this very intense back and forth headbutt. If you stay till the end of the game, we showcase the gameplay from our opponent's perspective and how they could have possibly have won the game. In this case, let's sell out of the melter. Let's we'll do the EM blast. I'll probably have done it right in the middle again, because these void eyes are the strongest. Let's see if we can target here. And let's go underground threat right here. Okay. From here, we want, honestly, I think range and anti-air wasp in against this board can be amazing. Let's see if it works out. Put it right here. The one here, running out of time. Shoot. Grab a level. Got 2 shields. And go like this. Okay, let's see if the range wasp can do some damage. And if we can get this early tower debuff with the... Yeah, we can get an early tower debuff in this case. Our opponent should take the game. This is a level 2 tower. Okay. Good thing YuBan leveled his tower. But look at these wasp actually doing a lot of work cleaning up all of the void eyes in the process. And with that, it became a overwhelming victory for our opponent by just placing 3 packs of high level double tech wasp in the air, dealing 3000 damage. Look at that. That concludes our replay commentary from today. I hope you enjoyed the game as much as I did. Until next time.